All right, so we've gotten through a couple days of our Accessible and Inclusive Design Conference, and here we are in day 3, and our opening speaker is Nicole Letoile. And Nicole's going to be talking about auditing online courses for accessibility. A little bit about Nicole. Dr. Nicole Letoile has played a pivotal role in the evolution of the education sector from traditional in-person teaching to dynamic online environments. Her expertise ensures a seamless transition to engaging virtual learning experiences. Dr. Letoile excels in selecting and implementing the most suitable learning management systems, adapting educational content for optimal digital delivery, and providing extensive training. Her efforts culminate in the creation of accessible content designed to maximize engagement in any virtual learning setting. So everybody, please help me welcome Nicole to this session. And Nicole, I'm going to go ahead and hide myself from the screen and let you take over.
All right. Thanks so much. And thanks for having me. Welcome, everyone. It's great to see so many people from all over joining us this morning. A little bit of context as well before we dive in. That was a really wordy, lengthy bio for my experience, but I'll give you a little bit of context as to what I'm going to talk about today and where I learned it and how I think about it, and then, how I can share this experience with you and have, the idea that I can at least give you, if you're new to this, get you started to think about how you might audit or evaluate courses that are on learning management systems or really anywhere, but I tend to work in learning management systems. So I was a learning management systems administrator for a Moodle platform that served, when I started, we served about 7,000 educators and school leaders here in Rhode Island, where I'm based. And when I left that role in December 2023, we were roughly around 14,000, and it is a professional development platform to help educators and school leaders take courses to recertify themselves to continue to teach in the classroom or to lead schools. And during that role, as an instructional designer, but also as the LMS administrator, I was responsible to review and audit all the courses that we designed or that the team designed that before they went live to the public. So in that role, one of the areas, like many of you may experience this when you're designing your courses or maybe you're evaluating them now, is you're looking through the lens of maybe the web accessibility guidelines and how to make your courses accessible. So that was my role. I had the opportunity to be trained by WebAIM. So I learned how to do this through WebAIM. And what I'm going to do is hopefully share some of the tools and tips and tricks that I've learned and that I've used over the course of the last 3 to 4 years of doing this work and help you get started with it. So just to give an overview of our objectives for the session. So we're gaining an understanding of how to set up and conduct an audit, and there'll be some technical as well. We'll install the Wave and Axe dev tools to identify and address any of the accessibility issues that are showing up in a course. So if you'd like to follow along today, you can pull up a course or a web page, something that you'd like to assess as we do this together. And so I'll try to keep an eye on the chat as well if you have questions as I go. I do tend to talk very quickly and move quickly on my screen as I'm doing demos. So please, at any point, if you need me to pause or reflect and stop, I'll be happy to do that. I don't demo these regularly. I'm not a Wave tool demo or an Axe tool demo person. So I do use these tools in my practice. So you'll see how I'm using it, and then you'll be able to figure out, your own path and process forward on how you use it. So here's the structure of the presentation. We'll have, what is an audit? If you're new to this work, the purpose, what the layers of guidance look like. The conformance levels are very important when we're evaluating a course or looking at it from the success criteria lens. And then we'll talk about the process that I work through. And I'm giving you some sample audits today. I'm going to give you the resource. In fact, I just need to come back. I need to remind you that barcode right there will take you to the folder that has all these resources. And I'm not sure if the pin worked. Let me pull that up. I can give you the slides that I'm in right now. Let me do this, sorry. Backtrack here. So the slides to where I'm in are now in the chat, and then that barcode QR code will take you right into a resource folder. And that resource folder is going to give you examples of how to install the tools. It also gives you a accessibility audit. I gave you a very brief snapshot of an audit I did this spring, and I took out a lot of pieces to protect my clients' privacy, but you'll notice that those are in there. The other thing that we'll do today is just give me an idea of which tool you're most interested in, if you had to choose between the two. So I know that, if I need to spend a little more time in the Wave tool today, we can do that. If we want to spend a little more time in AxDev, we can do that as well. So please, in the chat, let me know if you have a preference. All right, so let's take a moment to see who's here with us and how would you rate your experience with auditing or evaluating. And I do say evaluating, and I sometimes say review. Audit's very, very specific. It can be more comprehensive. It sounds so technical or important. I think audit, I think the IRS. So sometimes I'll say, let's evaluate a course or let's review it. So let me know where you are in in this process. Good. Yeah. Seeing some 1s, 2s, and 3s. Very good. 3, 4, 3, 5s. Excellent. Perfect. Yeah. Nice range here. Great. Thank you. All right. So what is an accessibility audit? I won't read that to you. I won't read it in the screen, but I will, just for us who are getting started, put it into a definition or in terms so that we're all speaking the same language when we're talking about what these audits look like. We're really establishing accessibility standards and testing them with assistive technologies, testing them with different tools, and then providing recommendations for improvements. And so the purpose of the audit, I gave you 2. So when clients come to me or when I work with education institutions, typically they're coming asking for these, 2 reasons why they would like their courses audited or they would like the learning management system audited. There's other reasons, and you can put those in the chat. There's inclusive design, identifying and limiting barriers for all learners, not just disabilities, from accessing and interacting with the content. Enhance the overall user experience by making it more navigable, readable, operable. And so thinking about establishing a baseline and continuous improvement. There's lots of different reasons that you might do this for your own learning experience so that you're designing more accessible in the future. But the purposes typically are that we're looking to discover issues that could hinder users with disabilities, and that is in the visual, auditory, cognitive, or motor impairments, as well as ensuring that we're meeting all the legal requirements. And we're going to look at specifically within the legal requirements, looking at the standards today, how to differentiate between level A, level 2, and level 3. You'll hear those terms often, but not necessarily, we don't necessarily always know what a level A or 2 or 3 looks like. And so if you're going to evaluate it, it's important to know how those conformance levels play a role in the evaluation. And so there are guidelines, there are layers of guidance, right? So you'll hear lots of times we talk about the standards in the 4 principles, and you'll hear the POUR, the POUR identified, perceivable, operable, understandable, and robust. And perceivable, if you are looking at it through that lens, you're looking at it through visual and hearing. If you're looking at operable, you're looking at it through the controls and interactive elements, mouse, keyboard, or an assistive device. If it's understandable, we want to make sure its content is clear, it limits confusion and ambiguity, and then robust, a wide range of technologies can access the content. And so within each of those, we have guidelines, and then within the guidelines, each principle is broken down into providing actionable advice on how to achieve the standard or the goal. And then we have success criterias, and we're going to look at those examples today. And then we talk about sufficient and advisory techniques. So there's some links in this slide, within these slides, if you want to go deeper, but I will go into success criteria today. And I also gave you additional resource WebAIM, and I will go through it a little bit more so you can see what it is, so you can use the resource. So how they all work together. right? The principals are providing the overall goal for the audit or the evaluation. Then the guidelines are really breaking down what needs to be checked, ensuring that all the accessibility areas are covered. The success criteria is going to be the testable benchmarks that define what it means to meet accessibility standards. And then, right, and then we have the implementation, how to fix it, and how to offer practical steps. So here's an example. So an example of the principle: perceivable, guideline, provide the text alternative for non-text content. The success criterion you're looking at 1.1, non-text content level A. So when you go into the WCAG standards and you see that long list of different numbers, and you see 1.12, 1.13, this is the different levels of within the success criterion that we're looking for, and each level is going to build on another level. So how do you get to standard A? You get to standard A by including level A. In order to get to level AA, you want to make sure you've included all 30 guidelines in level A, right? So they're going to build on each other. So if you see, I just recently saw someone posted yesterday that a website or a learning platform had reached AA standard, and they were able to put that standard or mark on their site. And because of they were able to meet level A and level 2A, all those guidelines were met, they can then say that they're a level AA. AAA, AAA is the one that we're always, reaching for, including the best practices, and that we're, trying to reach the ultimate level. So that would include all of A, all of AA, and all AAA for this to be considered conformance of the standard. And here's an example. Let's dive into this example. So for perceivable, I'm going to go over to the WCAG, how to meet the WCAG quick reference. And in this, it's a little bit tricky, but it's not. It's also really helpful because you can filter and you can go into the contents. And the reason I'm providing you all this information before I show you the process is because in order to understand the tools and the process, it would be really important to kind of have an idea of how to move around this page. So for contents, again, you have perceivable, you have operable. On the left-hand side of my screen, I'm in the navigation bar, understandable, and then robust. And then you start to see these numbers here that I've pointed out, the 1.1 or the 1.41, use of color. And so each one of these has been assigned a number for identifying. And then you could also filter. So you have the tab here to filter and look at tags, or I want to just, I want to focus in only on audio. So I want to pull up the principle and the guideline and the performance level that will address audio. And so you have the ability to filter out, and you have the ability to look at certain levels only, level A, AA, or AAA. So in order to be able to audit the courses or a learning management system, the more familiar you are with what's included here will be more helpful as you start to review. So as you're reviewing, you can use your manual test, what your eyes to see. Is there closed captions in this video? Has a transcript been provided? But this will give you a little bit more context onto the why and give examples. So what I love about this tool is that within here, I can say I'm looking at time-based media 1.2, which is the example we're looking at right now, 1.21 audio only and video only. But I need to learn a little bit more about that. And so I can go into full description. I can show techniques and failures and get more information on how I might address this this particular guideline. And then I can go to understanding. Understanding is amazing with examples. So if you need a real concrete, tangible example of what you're looking for, going to the understanding information tab will open up the goal of that guideline and that conformance level within the criteria, what to do, why it's important, breaks down the intent, the benefits, and also provides examples. So I tend to lean on examples a lot, especially when I'm giving back the report or I'm looking at examples in a course. I'm going to make a connection to the course that I'm looking at, and then I'm going to make a connection to which criteria, which level, and why. And the examples are really helpful. So I tend to lean on these to help me through that process. So if I come back out again, I'll just point out that each one of these will build. So we have level A, we have, again, level A, and if I keep going down, I'm looking for level 2A. So in order to meet this level, I also have to include everything that was above it. Level A for the guideline that is titled audio time-based media. So I have to meet 2.1, 2.2, and so on and so forth. So you go down the line and make sure that these are all here. Let me just come back here. So, okay, so when we're looking at conformance levels, we're looking at building on each one. But let me talk about a process that I use, and then I'll show you how I would then identify within a course which levels are being met and how. So the process for the audit is to select the tools, and these are just two of the tools that I might use. There are others that are free, and I tend to stick to the free ones. So I'm going to show you the Wave and the Axe Dev. Both have free versions. Wave is all free. Axe has the free or the paid. Then you can run the report, look at your success criteria, then look at your ratings, and then provide guidance. So the sample audit will help us to identify these steps as we go. So let's take a look at the Wave and Axe tool. And if you're with me, you can follow along. I'm going to go to, come back over, just going to go to the Wave, sorry. So I'm going to go to wave.webaim.org. I'm going to put this in the chat for you too. And from here, if you'd like to follow along and do a test and see this tool in action on your own screen, you can put any website right into the web page address. So I have a sample course that I'm going to use. And for the sample course, I can put in Canvas. I'm going to show you a Canvas course. So I'm going to put that here, or I can use my Wave extension on my browser. So you have an option. So I'm going to use the browser. So if I was to have you follow along and add the Wave browser extension, you would click on the Wave Chrome. For Firefox, for me, it's going to be Chrome. So I'm going to open that Wave extension. I already have it added. So it would then say add or remove, and it should pop up in the right-hand side. And so from here, we'll run the test. So I'm going to come over to, I've got a lot of tabs, but I'm going to come over to my sample course. And then I'm going to open up my Wave tool. The Wave tool at first, the first time I saw this tool, I immediately was a little bit panicked. Like, whoa, there's a lot of icons. There's a lot of information on the screen. I don't know how I'm going to use the tool. And so I encourage you to not get to the point where you just turn it on and say, I can't, this is too much, I'm going to turn it off. I've seen lots of people do it that way. So there is a lot going on there for sure. But the beauty of the tool is that I can disable and turn them on and off depending on what I want to focus on. So I will immediately turn off the ARIA. And in my presenter notes, there's hopefully it's in the folder. And if it's not, I'll add it back in. There's a section on ARIA, and we're not going to go too deeply into that. But the rule of ARIA is don't use ARIA if you don't have to. If there's an HTML element or tag that can help with accessibility, you'll use that. So for the purposes of this demo, I'm going to come over to the left-hand side. I have the ability to turn styles off or on. I'm going to leave them on for right now. If I turned it off, it would look like this. And if I turn it on, it looks like this. And so all I'm doing is going to like the breadcrumb of the page and turning off the cascading style sheets by toggling on and off. So I'll come back to on and I will view details. And you'll, if you're with me, I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to turn off ARIA. So this can be clicked, and then all of those icons and tags will be removed from the page. I'm also going to, for now, turn off the structural elements. I'm not going to necessarily look at headings. And I would encourage you to turn them all off and start maybe with just one. Look at your errors first and stay there. I've been using this tool for about 3 years, and I still don't know every icon that's here. I still am, doing my searches and finding an icon and then going over to WebAIM or the WCAG standards page and trying to figure out what is that icon telling me. So there is an icon index. So you could always go back and turn off or look at the index. So I would turn off structural elements. I'm going to turn off features by clicking on and off, enable, disable them. I'm going to turn off the alerts. I'm going to leave open the 4 errors, and I'm also going to leave open contrast errors. So I'm turning off the ARIA, the structural elements, the features, and alerts for now. And what I'm looking for is on my screen, I am going to look for these icons. And if you can give me in the chat box, just like I can't see the icons, can you see the icons on my page? I can't see them. So they're not here, and that's because they're hidden. So they're hidden from the from the eyes view, from the styles and the cascading style sheets. Like I can't see it. So, but that doesn't mean that a screen reader user would not be able to bypass some of these empty links. So I'm going to turn off styles and then notice that they will appear. So anytime you turn on the wave tool and you notice that these are hidden, you can hover over it, and this icon or element it applies to is visually hidden on the page. You can disable styles so that it'll show. And from here, I can now find where this low contrast is showing. It's right here, and I'm going to click, when I say right here, I'm on skip to content, the kind of the middle of the page to the right after the wave tool. It says very low contrast, and then I can go to my reference to learn more about that, or I can go to the code. So if I go to the reference text here and open and click on that link, I can then see that what it means, why it matters, how to fix it. And it'll also give me a little bit more about the guidelines. And this is a little bit tricky because this isn't something that I, as a designer, have the ability to change because it is hidden. If it's going to be in the top left corner. So this is something I would mark down, I'd report, I'd create a task for, and then I would share with either the support, the learning management system, the person who is on the back end working with the style sheets. So I would report that and just take note of it. And then again, for details, I'll come back and look at the errors. Same thing. I'm going to click on the icon. I'm going to look for it. I can't find it. It's most likely because it's hidden. So I'll turn that off and go and see if I can find it. And there they are. And that means that they're hidden on the page to the eye view, but that doesn't mean that the screen reader wouldn't pick it up. So I would just need to go into my code and remove those empty links. And if I click in code, I can find it. And then I would go ahead and remove it. So the contrast error is just somewhere in the dashboard. Yeah, so what the contrast error is, and let me see if I can, is what it's telling me is the dashboard, which I'm not on the dashboard page, and that's why you can't see it, but it doesn't like the gray. So let me show you what I mean. And I'm going to end up losing where I am, but that's okay. I'm just going to go back. Okay, so this is the dashboard right here, and it's saying that the gray and the white, there's a color contrast, which is interesting to me because it's only picking up dashboard. So sometimes these tools are not 100%. They're just a way to identify certain things that are being identified as an error. Doesn't mean it necessarily is an error, and it could mean that there's more errors that we have to look into, and that's why I use multiple tools. I don't rely on just one. So I actually have gone in and said to the white on the gray is not a contrast issue, and I'll pull up my WebAIM contrast checker and just double check it and say, well, it's saying that the dashboard gray and the white are not passing, but it is passing. So I'm going to mark it Doesn't necessarily need to be changed, but it is something that I'm going to identify and mark. The other feature that was showing up, let me just go back, that was saying the empty tags. So I'm just going to come back here and just make sure that we're good here with empty tags and color contrast. And if you have other questions around these errors, we can dive into that. But I'm looking at the time and realizing that we probably should look at the axe tool. What I would encourage you to do is to put it on your browser or just open up a page, turn off ARIA, click on the enable, click off of one, and just start with the contrast errors and see what you find, and see if you can identify any of the errors, something like that. If legit errors likely institution. Yes, exactly. Thank you, Julie. Yeah, so some of these things you're reporting, you're documenting. So for example, a client that uses Canvas, I went in and did an audit of their LMS, and you'll see in the sample audit, I took a lot of the screenshots out to protect their privacy, but one of the main issues that came up in contrast errors was all of the links, the color was too light for the navigation link. So it would say almost like 30 contrast errors, but just by fixing that one error and making the link color darker would be able to fix all of the contrast errors in that LMS and in the course. And that was just sharing that with the person who is responsible to change that on the back end. So the color contrast tool that I use is the contrast checker. And this is also a WebAIM tool. And this is able to, it gets stuck. So I use it to check color. And let me give you the link for that. So WebAIM color contrast checker. And if you open and go to this page, you can scroll down and add it. I add it as a booklet. You just drag it and drop it and put it right into your browser. And then it's always available to you. Let's see. Other questions? I'm going to just load this back up. All right, so in the resource folder, there's the Wave tool. And when I first learned, when WebAIM first showed me the WebAIM tool, the Wave tool, and I started using it, I was a little bit concerned at first that I felt like I needed to know all of those tags. So if you're just starting out, turn off as many as you can and just focus on one, get really good at one, get really good at the second one, and just try to go at your own pace to learn each one. The items you asked to turn them off, reason behind. Oh, just for the demo for purposes today. We really wouldn't be able to get into all of them. So if I was to, I can just do a quick overview of what they are. I turn them off because it can get very overwhelming looking at all of these. But errors are going to be what Wave is picking up as an error. Alert is something that you manually check. So alerts, so I purposely put in suspicious alternative text for a demo. And it's going to pick up alternative text, which is a nice one, non-script elements. It also will tell me that I have underlined text, but I've underlined links. So it doesn't mean it's wrong. Doesn't mean it's incorrect. It just means that it's telling me that I have some alerts that I need to check. It'll also pick up if you have video that you need to check as well, things like that. So alerts will come in. Features will also take you a little bit more, and then structural elements will be heading. So we didn't have time to necessarily get into all of those today.
Hey, Nicole, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we've got a lot of great questions in the QA, and it's kind of specific to this. So is it okay if I
Absolutely, please.
Yeah, because I think it'd be good to answer these questions now rather than the end.
For sure.
So I'll just start from oldest to newest. Let's see. Lindsay was asking, do you think we need to worry about security with any of these free tools, in particular when accessing content and information not generally open to the public?
That's a really, really good question. The Wave tool is not saving, from my understanding, the Wave tool is not saving any information or collecting any data on that. So I feel safe using Wave, especially in educational content. As far as the Axe tool goes, which I'll show you, it's a little bit more. You have to create your account. You can save your test. It goes a little bit more into, it could be tracking some of it, or it depends on what you save and what you give access to. All right,
Excellent.
he's
Okay.
already blocking the Wave tool. Okay, interesting. Yeah.
Great. And then let's see, Bernadette asking, let's see, she was running late. I keep hearing a lot of this pertains to accessibility for websites, but I'm not a web designer. Am I using these tools only for the content I am creating?
Yes. So yes, typically you just can look at the page itself where your content is. Like, so if you're looking at just your course and not focusing on the platform, you can still use these tools. Does that
Nice.
answer the question? Yeah.
I think so, but she followed up with if there's a beginner's resource for IDs to better understand all of this, which I think is that's a good question. I don't know of one, but
So let me think about how to package it, because I feel like some of the resources I put in there are scattered a bit. Like, you can go down rabbit holes, someone said, right, of looking at things. That's why I will plug that there's going to be a course in the winter, and I have an interest form if people want to sign up for that. I'm going to run a more detailed cohort of people that are just going to play around and learn together. But I can find some trainings and see if we can get those out there, because the only one I know of is WebAIM, who taught me and trained me, and I had the ability to have more one-on-one support.
nice. All right. So here's one from this one's from, is it Arpita? Yes. Do you have any suggestions for password protected Articulate Rise courses or authoring tools giving errors about refusing to connect?
I don't use Articulate Rise. I don't use any of the Articulate products, and I don't work in them. So sorry, I can't do that. But I'm sure maybe there's somebody in our group that knows a little more about that.
All righty.
Lucky you.
Why? Let's see. This one's from Gabrielle. Why would you still identify the dashboard error after you checked that it was passing color contrast?
Because I'm not 100% sure yet. So I would put it in there, and then I would probably go and look more at the code and talk to the LMS administrator, or the person who's on the back end, the IT department, and have them look at it more closely, because it's a little concerning that only one of them popped up and not all of them. So there could be some code in there. It could be ARIA. It could be something that is triggering that to pop up that doesn't belong there. So it could just become more of an investigation than an error.
Nice. Okay. And then let's see, last one in the QA area. If I have, for example, a storyline course in an LMS, can I use the Wave tool as I go through the course?
If I, for example, storyline course in LMS, can I use Wave tool? I would imagine yes. So a Wave tool won't tell you if an image has correct color contrast. The Wave tool won't go into, I'm trying to think of, because again, it's hard for me to talk about Storyline and Articulate because I don't use those products. But for example, are you familiar with H5Ps? So if you use an H5P, similar, right? They're interactive. Wave tools will pick up issues with the H5P. So I'll say maybe.
Okay. All right. And let me see. I know that in chat, let's take a look. I thought I saw a couple. Yeah, there's a lot of conversation going on in there. Actually, I saw another question in there, but it's disappeared in the thread. So
Okay.
yeah, lots of people are going back and forth. It's
Yeah.
excellent. All right, I'm going to go ahead and let you, I'm going to move backstage.
All right. Thank you. Yes. There's a lot there. So I recognize that it's hard to give a description, go too deep into this session, but at least it'll get us kind of exploring. So I do want to show you briefly the Axe tool. So in order to get the Axe tool set up, you'll also do the same thing. I can pop in anywhere, and you'll want to add it as an extension. which I've already I've done that. So go to your Axe. I never say this right, so I'm just going to put this right in the chat. And you can click on this, and it should allow you to add the tool to your browser. And then from here, I'll go back to my sample course. In order to get this up and running, I have to go to View and Developer and my developer tools. And then it will, if yours doesn't show up right away, you just want to drop these two caret arrows and go to More Tabs, and it will come up in this menu. But I'm going to open up my my tool here and show you that this has the ability to do similarly what the Wave tool does. It does require you to have an account to set this up. There's free, and then there's a subscription. The free will allow you to full page scan or partially page scan. So for those of you who don't want to necessarily look at an entire platform or the site itself, you just want to look at the course, you can do partial page scan, and that would be helpful. And for full page scan, I'll show you what it'll do. I'll run the report. It'll scan this page for me. It will pick up that I have an overview tab. I have the guided test tab. I can view saved tests from the past. I can start a new scan. But from here, what I'm most interested in is to find out if I had any issues or errors. So under overview, it tells me that I'm in the right place. Yes, I had one issue on my page, and it's saying that it is a best practice or a moderate issue. And I can go down a little bit further on this page on the DevTool subscription and go to all page content should be contained by landmarks. So I didn't necessarily know what that meant the first time I learned how to run this report. So there is a more information. It will highlight it for you and help you find the issue. And what this is telling me is that view as a student is not identified for a screen reader in a header or let's say header, footer, main page. It's not identifying in the landmark. So it's going to be tricky for those folks to access it. And so I would just mark this. I would put it into my report and then investigate a little bit more. And if I needed more information, I'd click more information. Also a trick to do if you see something you're not familiar with that is in those guidelines and principles, and you're not sure, is it 1.1, is it 2.3? I've asked ChatGPT, and then I've also just gone to WebAIM and said, in the search box, landmarks, and pull up or put the problem, and it will give me the page that will tell me more about landmarks, how to fix it, what to document. So that's also really useful to get more information. And if we have questions, I want to stop and make sure that I answer those questions. So let me know if you would like some more detailed information on this. I wanted to also just show that you could share issues. You can download issues. So the difference between the tools, one is, to me, gives me very quick glance at what I might be looking for, what I need to document. And then when I come over to this tool, when I use this one, it may pick up something that the others did not. So for example, this one didn't pick up the suspicious alt tag, right? But Wave tool did. This one isn't saying that the dashboard is a problem. Wave tool did. So there are some other tools that I use. There's a headings map just to look at headings, Includia. So having access to a few of these is helpful, but also before even getting into the tools, like I said, getting familiar with the performance levels and getting familiar with what's inside each level will help guide you once you're inside the tool. So here's a sample audit that puts it all together. And in the audit, I usually provide an executive summary. I will then add the conformance summaries. This is just a snapshot. And so what I'm doing is I'm looking at the guideline, putting in the 1.1, the 1.2, what it is that popped up, what's the issue, what needs to be remediated, and the support. It was only level A, and then the explanation and the remark. And then below it, I give severity ratings. And I give a little bit more context, or I link, or I take a snapshot of what needs to be fixed. And this is the first step, right? So the first step is that review, evaluation, and then building training off of what you find here to help the designers to be able to remediate before we have, or not remediate, design so that we don't have to remediate. So yeah, questions? I'm really like back and forth. So jump in, ask a question or two. For me, just talking isn't always so natural as I like to have the interaction. So if there's anything that has piqued interest that you want to go into a little more, we can. But I gave you the copy of this to put it all together. Again, why I gave you the conformance summaries to show you that there is a guideline and a level to every area that may need to be remediated. And then you go beyond that and say, well, how would I fix it? And then there's a place to learn more about how to fix it. And what I am doing is we are running a course. I'll put this in to the chat. Running a course starting in the winter. Myself, I'm running it with with a colleague, and we are going to be looking at the lens of designing inclusive, designing with accessibility, but there'll also be a whole modular unit and a cohort that will work on evaluations and rubrics. So we're going to build that into it. There's an interest form if you'd like to learn more about it. If you want to reach out to me at any point, I do coffee chats all the time. And one-on-ones with people that just want to understand a tool more. And that's, obviously just us networking. So please reach out. There's the resource folder. And that's all I have for today. Thanks, Renee. Appreciate it.
All right. Let's see here. I'm seeing lots of hearts and emojis flying by. Marcia says this has been absolutely impactful and motivating. And sorry if you hear my computer going, because I'm with AirMeet support right now with an issue. So they're messaging me stuff. Let's see here. I see Andrea saying, see you at the NSQ meeting soon. For Nicole.
Oh, yes. See you, Andrea.
Let me see. I did see something else popped up. Oh, no, it's just a thank you over in the QA from Gabrielle. And yeah, it looks like, oh, here we go. Here's a question. How does Wave, or I don't know how to pronounce it, XDev, audit for plain language?
Ooh. So I don't think Wave tool would, but the Axe tool they have guided test, and they also have something in beta that might be able to do that. That's a really good question, Lisa. Wave tool does not. Let me see what the guided. We have table, keyboard, model, dialogue, interactive element, structure, images, form. So if you go deeper into the Axe tools, these will run specific tests on each one of these elements and manual keyboard, but I don't know about plain language. You have me curious. I'll see if the beta will do that. And if anybody knows of a tool that does that, please put it into the chat so we can all learn about it. I'm going to go down the rabbit hole after this and really go find that one.
All righty. Here's one. Here's one from Gabrielle. Will the accessibility course, maybe is that the cohort you're talking about, be covering Articulate?
It will not. Yeah, it's not my area. Sorry about that. But we can find, I think there is one out there. I've seen some good ones out there that will cover Articulate.
Yeah, it seems like there would be a demand for that. Let's see. Here is one from Priscilla. Could you please go over the definitions of perceivable, operable, understandable, and robust again, please?
Absolutely. Yeah. So when we're looking at the perceivable guidelines, we're looking at the senses, vision and hearing primarily. So that's usually through the browser or through assistive technologies, screen readers, screen enlargers. And then operable, its users can interact with all controls and interact with elements. So we're looking at the keyboard navigation, assistive device there. For understandable, we're looking at that content is clear, limits confusion. And I think we're looking at plain language is a good example for this one. And then robust, a wide range of technologies can access the content. And I want to share the, because you just reminded me in the resource folder, am I still sharing?
Yes. Oh no. Well, I have this. I have the.
Perfect. No, I'll put
There
this
you
in
go.
the chat.
No, you're sharing now.
Okay. So each one of these two, so the definitions I gave, and then if you go to this spreadsheet, I took every one of those from the site and put them into a sheet for you. So you don't have to go through that index and then see what's under perceivable, what goes under operable, right? And they're obviously 1, 2, 3, 4, and then robust has the 3 guidelines below, and then the link up top will take you to the site. And then I gave you the web aim one because the web aim one to me does the same thing, but again, I was trained in web aim, so I like this easier for me, plain language. It's easier to get to. So this one does the same thing with the levels, shows you how to get to AAA, how do you get, each gives you a little more definition, gives you examples. And then the spreadsheet will also show you the linked versions, okay? Because if you want to go directly to that one and you don't want to have to go and scroll. So there's 3 tabs in here. And this is how I will do it. I'll evaluate by creating a form like this. And then I will go through and check and just kind of cross-reference each one of these and make sure I've addressed it in this review.
That's great. That's great.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oops. Let me go back. QA. Looks like there's one more. What is that? Okay. This one is from Carrie. Not sure if you can answer this question and may not apply to your presentation, but should images be left side aligned or can you wrap text around?
I left align because I just have a preference to left align. I don't know. Does anyone know if this is a rule? I think this is a preference. Not that I don't think there's a standard that would address that or a guideline.
Yeah, I don't think that there's a standard. I've seen where left align is the best practice, but it's just I know like that's something that stuck with me, and I tried to maintain that.
Yeah, and if there was a standard align, there's some guidance for there's more guidance on they're not a standard or a guideline, but on neurodivergent design, and there's some guidelines, and it could be in there. But yeah, it's more of the best practice. I left align too. Yeah, same. And white space is important. Absolutely. Yes, left align text for sure.
Yeah.
Did we get to all the questions?
Yeah, it looks like it. Like I say, out there as Renee just posted a link from Harvard, an accessibility link. So take a look at that.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay,
Great.
Nicole. Well, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate you coming in. Let's see. You also had another session potentially that you were going to do. I know we were choosing between 2 when we initially came up with the program. And I don't know if you heard, but we had so many submissions for this event that I'm probably going to do another one once my licensing seating in this event resets, which is going to be on the 1st. We'll probably just do another one of these events because there is so much great, incredible content and that is being offered, and it just needs to be shared. So we'll probably get this going, and maybe I'll hit you up for that one again, Nicole.
Sure. Yeah, this was fun. I really enjoy the interaction with everyone here, so appreciate your participation. Thanks, Bernadette. And thanks for having me. And if there's anyone that wants to reach out, all my contact information's there. And if you want to just do one-on-ones, those are always a lot of fun. So thank you.
All right. Thanks, Nicole. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you in the next one. We've got a really interesting one coming up at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Donna Boucher, accessible assessment creation, which I'm very curious about. So hopefully we'll all see everybody there. And with that, thanks again.
All right.
We'll
Bye,
see you
everyone.